All right, in today's video here, we're going to talk through how to complete the study abroad course approval form, as I know this is a form that sometimes trips people up a little bit. So I just want to talk through it step by step here. As you can see on my screen, this is a copy of what the course approval form looks like. It is a fillable Word document, so you should be able to just type in your information in these different fields. So the top information here is pretty basic. It's your profile information, your name, your student ID, email, major, minors, your program. We're looking for the provider. So, CIS abroad in Bangkok, Thailand, or USAC in Viterbo, Italy, or something like that. You're going to write out the provider and the location there. And then in terms, you're going to list which, fall, spring, summer, year, and then the actual year, so say fall of 2022 or something like that. Then you're going to list the actual university that you're studying abroad at, as well as your major and your minor advisors. So then the next part here is the first of two charts. So the first page here is any courses that you intend to take for your major or your minor. So any class that you are hoping is going to transfer back to complete a major or a minor requirement is going to go on the first page here. Anything that you're hoping to take for core or potentially as a free elective, we'll save that for the second page. So this box here is where you're going to fill out the information. There is a sample course listed in that first gray bar that goes all the way across the top. We don't expect everybody's going to take Spanish for beginners during their study abroad experience. This is just a sample course to show you how to fill out the form. So you can just let that go. We know that you're not necessarily taking Spanish for beginners. So with that said, though, it is helpful to see how you need to fill out the form. So the first column is for host institution course code. So if you have a course code, like Spanish 101 here, you can fill that out. Some programs admittedly don't have course codes, and that's okay. You can leave this column blank, but if they are available, definitely insert them here. Then you're going to type out the full name of the course in the next column there. And then the third column is that we're looking for the host program's credits. So you're going to be looking to list here the local type of credits that they offer. So the Spanish example that we have here is the ECTS credits, which are pretty common in Europe. If it's units, if it's US credits, there's a variety of different types of credits that your host university could award classes in. So whatever that is, you're going to list that in this column here. And then the next column, you're going to list what you think that Etown will accept for that amount of credits. So I'll show you a resource here in the future that shows you exactly where you can get an idea of how many credits that Etown might be offering, but that's a part of this form. It's just confirming that you have an understanding of how many credits transfer back. So again, the example here is ECTS credits. As you'll see in the resource that we have, 2 ECTS credits equals 1 US credit at Etown. Your study abroad provider or program might give you an idea of how many credits are transferred back for each course. That's ultimately, their general understanding. Etown is the one that determines how many credits will award for each class. So it might be a little bit different than what they list on their website, but just write down in that column what you think it's going to transfer back as, so that you can start to have an understanding of how many classes you should be taking abroad to maintain full-time student status. Then the last couple columns here are completely in gray, and that's on purpose because this is not a section that you need to fill out. These columns should be filled out by your academic advisor and the dean of the school for your major or your minor. So you'll fill out the first 4 columns here. You'll attach course descriptions, which we'll talk about later, and then you'll share this document with your advisor. And then they will indicate either in this first gray column that, it fulfills an exact requirement at Etown. So the Spanish 101 example, it fulfills exactly our Spanish 111 requirement at Etown. If it doesn't have an exact equivalent that's available at Etown, that's okay. You would just use the next column there where it says it's a special topics course. So if you can see in the small font under the chart here on this first page, it does say that you can list a course as special topics as a 170 level course, so 100 level course, or a 370 level course. so 300 level. So you can, again, you don't have to necessarily fill that out, but your advisor can list if there's an exact equivalent or if it's going to be a special topics course. Then your advisor will initial the last column. And then the final step here of getting a course approved for your major or your minor is getting the dean of your school to sign off on the particular program, the particular class that you want to take. So you get all of those columns filled out and then you take it to the dean of your school. So I do have a final column, a final page here that outlines the current deans of the school. So you can reference that if you're not familiar with that. So that's the first page here. Again, anything for your major or your minor that you should list here on the first page. If you don't have enough space for courses, you can definitely fill out a second copy of the first page. We are encouraging students that they list at least twice as many courses as they need abroad, so that you have backup options in place in the event that you are unable to get into your first choice. You already know something that's approved by your academic advisor that you can complete and know that it's definitely going to fulfill a major or minor requirement. So definitely list twice as many courses as you need, if not even 3 courses for each requirement that you're looking for. So with that said, again, you may need some extra space on this first page, and you can just, again, duplicate the first page. So moving on here, we'll go to the second page, which, like I said, is specifically for any courses that you intend to take for core or as a free elective. So again, same concept of how you fill it out. There's just one more column that you would list in this, in your part of the form. So again, we list Spanish for beginners as an example. To show you how to fill it out, you list the course code, the title, post credits, Etown credits, and then you list the name of the core that you're hoping that this class fulfills. So if you aren't necessarily planning on accounting for a core and it's just a fun class that you want to take for free electives that would, transfer back to Etown to go towards your overall 125 credits required to complete your Etown degree, but not necessarily fulfilling a major, minor, or core requirement, you would list that as a free elective there. So again, you fill out the first 5 columns here. You want to list multiple options for each graduation requirement that you're trying to fulfill. So if you want to fulfill power of language, Western cultural heritage, those kind of things, I definitely would encourage you to list multiple choices. And again, you can duplicate this page if need be. But then ultimately, you're going to go and proceed to get these signatures on the bottom before the registrar actually approves the full form here. So they complete the last 2 columns. Again, in the gray boxes, you don't need to complete that. So at this point, you fill out your major, your minor courses, any core courses you want to take, your free electives. You've attached course descriptions for each of the classes here as a separate Word document. You can, download syllabus from the courses if that's available, or you can just copy and paste that like paragraph description of a class into a Word document and then have them all compiled in one Word document that you then have available as a separate attachment to this form. But you're going to need those course descriptions attached to this so that we have some context beyond the name of the course of what it's about, and the registrar is going to use that to determine if it fulfills a core requirement or not. So you fill out these 2 pages, you attach those course descriptions, you sign and date it, you make sure that your major advisor signs and dates it as well. You definitely need your major advisor to sign this form just so that they know what courses that you're planning on taking. Even if you're not taking any courses for your major, they just need to know what your progress is towards graduation. You don't need your minor advisor to sign this if you're not taking any courses for your minor. So you sign it, your major advisor definitely signs it. Then you hand it into the study abroad office. So you can attach it to your online application. You can email it to us. Just make sure that you get it to the study abroad office, and then the study abroad advisor will review the form for completion. And then also just to be an initial set of eyes to make sure that your understanding of the credit conversion is correct according to the study abroad advisor's knowledge. And then also, double checking maybe that courses that you've listed are definitely offered in the term that you intend to take them, because you're going to want to look for that when you're looking at course descriptions, and make sure that it is available in the term that you want on the campus that you need to take courses at. So definitely checking some of that. But again, that's why backup options are helpful in case you missed anything like that. So again, you hand it in to the study abroad office, and then from there, we send it to registration and records. So we'll send it to registration and records for the final approval, and that's where they'll definitely indicate whether or not a core course fulfills the specific core that you're hoping it does, or they'll indicate which other core it fulfills. So you have to submit this form in order for registration and records to approve your core courses. Unfortunately, you can't get courses pre-approved in advance. You definitely want to be submitting this form, so there's a chance that we'll need to, edit this document or add pages to it later with additional choices if you, unfortunately, if none of your courses are approved for the core that you need to take. So you can definitely, this is a living document, so you can definitely continue to submit some copies later. With that said, you can reach out to the study abroad office and see if we have any indication of what courses might fulfill different core requirements. We do have a little bit of a historical perspective for some of our programs of what students have been approved to take in the past for different core requirements. So you can definitely reach out to us and say, I'm thinking I need to take humanities, Western cultural heritage, and creative expression abroad. Like, what has anybody been pre-approved by Etown in the past for certain courses? And we can share that information. But I'd also encourage you to look at the core list of courses that Etown offers and get a general understanding of what is typically available for each core requirement. So what type of courses do we typically accept for, say, humanities, social science, those kind of things. So you have an understanding when you're looking at courses and you say, oh, I think that this kind of aligns with the type of classes that Etown has to offer, and our core courses are listed on the website. So with that said, that's how you fill out the form. Like I said, you attach a course approval form. I did want to show you a few additional references or resources, I should say. So if you're on the Study Abroad Office's website here and you click on our study abroad policies, we do have a study abroad credit conversion website, which actually lists all of our affiliated programs here. So you can specifically find the program that you're intending to go on. So say you're interested in going to Newcastle, Australia, you'll see that they award their credits in units, and that 10 units would equal 4 US credits. So you can come here, find the program that you're intending to take, and then get an idea of how the credits would transfer back so that you know how to fill out that section. Again, some of them are one-to-one because some of them are already, awarding credits in US credits to international students. So you can definitely check that out. So this is a resource for you here. Just to kind of reiterate how to fill out the form, I did want to show you an example of a form filled out that has been approved by Registration and Records. So this is a student that is going to London in the fall, change the name to John Smith. But you get the idea here that they were approved to take a course for their graphic design minor here. The advisor initially just wrote that it was design, graphic design minor elective, and then Registration and Records specifically indicated the special topics course. So as long as they indicate how it should transfer back, we can usually decipher it from there. Again, I would recommend that you list more than one course here, just again to have some backup options, maybe list 2 to 3 classes for each requirement, but this student did have this one approved for the graphic design minor. Again, they listed that the university, the London Metropolitan University, awards credits in 15 UK units, which transfers back as 4 US credits for Etown. And then on the second page here, they listed that all the different courses that they intended to take for free electives. So the student is predominantly taking free electives while abroad. And then when Registration and Records approved the course selections, they actually just, in this scenario, just highlighted them to approve the courses. This student, and you can see all the different signatures that were obtained by the student to make sure that everybody was on board with their choices. And then they attached course descriptions. So they just copied and pasted the description of each course into one concise Word document and attached it here so that we could all reference what each course actually entailed. So with all of this information in mind, I should say that when your course approval form has been reviewed by the study abroad office and shared by registration and records, once registration and records reviews it, they will email you a updated copy of your course approval form with, again, either highlights here of how the courses were approved, or they'll write in this column. They'll also, make a note if something wasn't approved exactly the way that you wanted it to, maybe in red text. But they'll definitely email you, and they'll copy your academic advisors on it. So definitely be on the lookout for that email so that you know that it's definitely been approved by registration and records. And then also if there's any changes that you need to make or additions you need to make to the course approval form now that it's been officially reviewed. So again, maybe if the core course didn't transfer back exactly the way that you wanted it to. So that's kind of how you fill out the form. With that said, I did want to go over the instructions and our policies just a little bit more here so that make sure that you're definitely on track and understanding how courses transfer back from Etown. So definitely read through all of the instructions here. They do reiterate some of the tips that I've already shared, but other things that you want to keep in mind is that, when you are studying abroad for a full semester, we encourage students to still register for Etown courses as if they were coming back to campus for that semester. So this is a policy that we've always done, that we encourage students to register for the Etown courses that they would need to take if they were going to be on campus. So please don't pick filler courses. These should be classes that you would take if you were on campus and not studying abroad. We do this so in the event that for some reason you're unable to study abroad, last minute, you're already enrolled in the Etown courses that you need to take, and you can easily just transition to life back on campus. If you ultimately do study abroad, as we hope that you do, registration and records will withdraw you from those courses. So you don't have to worry about withdrawing from the classes. But you also don't have to worry about necessarily taking the seat of somebody else who needs to get in the course, because they will withdraw you, and that seat will become available for students. So we just want you to register for courses now as a safety measure, as a backup, in the event that you are unable to go abroad for any reason. You're already set up to continue your degree at Etown and be in the courses that you need to take. Other things that I wanted to mention is just definitely reiterating you absolutely need course descriptions. That's something, again, the study abroad advisor is going to be looking for, and if they're not attached, we're going to reach out to you and make sure that we have them before we can submit your form to registration and records. So I know that in some cases, some programs don't have course descriptions readily available. So in that case, we'd want to reach out to the program and try and obtain as much information as possible, because if you don't have a course description, it's really difficult for your advisor or the registrar to say, yes, this course is definitely going to complete our requirements. With that said, I know I was talking about core requirements and trying to get an understanding of what Etown core courses usually entail. The one core course that we don't recommend that you take abroad is GWR. That's the guided writing and reading reflection course. And that's because that course typically requires that students have 15 pages of original writing. So that's either a creative writing course or a research intensive course that has a very big paper at the end of it. And it's very difficult from a paragraph description of a course to identify how much writing is required for the course. So there have been a few occasional exceptions that we have identified a course as GWR abroad, but for the most part, it's not something that we recommend that you try and take abroad, because we just don't have the information to pre-approve you before you go abroad to identify it as a GWR. So otherwise, other core courses, each program is a little bit different, but there's options across the programs to complete the other core requirements. The other things here is that, yes, you can physically drop off a copy, but obviously it's easier to just fill this out electronically and attach it to your application or send it to us via email. If you need to make any edits to it later, definitely just email us an updated copy, because you might not be able to attach it to your application because you've already uploaded a copy. So email the study abroad office and we will definitely make sure it gets updated. That advice continues to once you are abroad. So every program registers for courses at different times. In the event that you don't register for courses until you're actually abroad, and then you realize that, you didn't get into your first choice classes and you need to pick some backups, definitely, reach out to us and we can make some additions to your course approval form. We ultimately just don't want any surprises when you complete your study abroad experience and you get your transcript and a class isn't listed on your course approval form, because then we don't know how to transfer it back, and we can't guarantee it's going to transfer back the way that you want it to. So definitely don't do that. Be in touch with us to have your courses pre-approved, so you know how they're going to transfer back. And then the last part here is just some important information to reiterate. So definitely if you're going abroad for a full semester, you need to complete a minimum of 12 US credits to be considered a full-time student. So again, understanding how the credits are going to transfer back to Etown is important to make sure that you're maintaining that full-time student status of at least 12 credits. We encourage students to still take 15 to 16 credits to be on track with our typical, full-time status student on campus. And the reason that we do that is because of how credits transfer back. So your credits are going to transfer back to Etown as long as you earn a US equivalent of a C- or better. So that is, you need to understand how the grade system works in the country that you're studying and how they transfer back to US credits. So for example, I studied abroad in England, and when I was in England, they allowed room for excellence, basically. So a 70 to a 100 was considered an A, and then a 60 to a 70 was a B. So the first time you see a 60, on a paper or an assignment or something, you don't automatically think of a B. So just making sure that you understand how the grades transfer back to US grades so that you know where that line is to earn a US C- or better. But as long as you earn a US C- or better, your credits will transfer to Etown. So your credits will transfer to your Etown transcript, but they will just show on your Etown transcript as the university that you studied abroad and an X amount of credits. They will not show the individual courses or the grades that you received, because your GPA is essentially frozen for your study abroad experience. You can't help or hurt your Etown GPA by your study abroad program. So gives you a little bit of flexibility to get used to a different academic system and understand how your credits transfer back. But again, you need to get a C- or better. So with that said, we do typically recommend that semester students take at least 15 to 16 credits. So in the off chance that one course doesn't work out and you don't earn a C- or better, you would still transfer back at least 12 US credits to maintain that full-time student status. Whereas if you only took 12 credits and then you didn't transfer back a course, now you're below full-time student status, and there might be some financial aid repercussions for that, along with delayed progress towards your graduation. So ultimately it's your choice, but we do highly recommend that you stick with the 15 to 16 credits. If you are doing a short-term program, there's not necessarily a credit requirement for that because it is outside the academic year. So you can do it, one class, two class, no credits for the experience. There's definitely more flexibility with a short-term program because you're not trying to maintain full-time student status for financial aid reasons. And then I just wanted to list here the bottom part here where you can see the current academic deans for the different schools, because again, you will need them to sign off on any courses for your major and minors just to double check that it's definitely going to transfer back the way your academic advisor said. So with all that said, hopefully you have a better understanding of how to fill out your Etown Study Abroad course approval form. If you have any questions, obviously always feel free to reach out to the Study Abroad office, but I'm hoping that this provided a little bit more clarity to a form that can seem a little daunting to some students at first. All right, thanks so much.